Hey everybody, in today's video we're going to dive back into the emergency food storage arena, and we're going to take a look at these 4 canned meat products that I think are of excellent quality. And this is going to help you make informed decisions when adding vital protein to your emergency food storage. Let's get started. This channel's model is plan, prepare, and practice. So towards the end of the video today, I'm going to be taking this simple can of beef combined with some other ingredients out of our emergency food storage, and we're going to practice by going outside and cooking up a delicious recipe that you can easily replicate in any SHTF situation. Okay, first up in our lineup is going to be the canned turkey meat. Keystone is advertising this as having 2 ingredients only, and that is turkey and sea salt. Let's take a look at this product and see how it looks to us. It looks to me like this product is probably packaged is what they call a cold pack, where the meat's placed in the can raw, sealed, and then cooked to the specified temperature. Nothing wrong with that at all. I'm going to take a little taste here. This is fully cooked. It has a good clean turkey meat flavor. It doesn't have that weird tuna type flavor that sometimes you get with canned turkey. And I'm going to save these as I open them up and just do some meal prepping later on tonight or tomorrow. So this will probably turn into creamed turkey over mashed potatoes, something like that. Next up is going to be the pork. And once again, they're giving us a ingredient list of pork and sea salt. Fat that we see there on the top could be a little off-putting to some people when they first open that up, but it's to be expected again with any type of a canned meat product. One of the things that I want to spotlight about Keystone products is they don't seem to try to, get to you with their amount of product that they're putting in a can. These things are packed pretty full. And I think that's one of the advantages possibly to doing a raw pack type thing. They're not cooking up in a broth and then putting it in the can, which is going to give you a lot more liquid. You're paying for more liquid than you are meat in that situation. Let's taste the pork. It has a good clean pork flavor. There's no overly saltiness to it or any type of preservative taste or anything like that. This will probably be turned into carnitas tacos. Next up will be the ground beef. Now I bought these in bigger cans. These are 28-ounce cans because it's one of those things where processing and canning costs money. I could get the same amount of meat for a lot less money by purchasing them in these bigger cans. Same thing, we have the can is pretty tightly packed with some meat. We've got obviously the fat, that's going to be around the top. Now I've had this before and I really like this product. I think this is one of the better tasting hamburger emergency storage items that I think you can buy. And if you've tried freeze-dried products and things like that, you know that everything has its pros and cons, but I think this is a very good hamburger product. And I think this will turn into a large tray of beef enchiladas. Okay, next up we're going to open up this can of chunk beef. Again, we've got beef and sea salt on our ingredient list. And this is what we're going to make a recipe out of today as part of our practice session, and just show you how easy it is to whip up some good things out of your canned food storage. Again, I've had this product before. The beef is very tender. I think it's a very high quality, and I just, I'm not being sponsored by Keystone in any way. I have nothing to gain by spotlighting their products, but I just want to pass this information on to you, the viewers, and just let you know that these are some good things that you can add to your emergency food storage, and have some good food. There's a lot of chunks of beef in that can. They're very tender. They just fall apart like if you cooked a roast in a crock pot or something like that. Flavor is excellent. Has good clean beef flavor. It's not overly salty. All right, next up, we're gonna cook this up, as I've said earlier, and I'm saving that juice that was in the can with it. That's gonna become part of our recipe that you're gonna see here in just a minute. Waste not, want not. And this is what we're dealing with to make tonight's dinner. I'm just simply using items that I pulled from emergency food storage, like dehydrated onions I processed last year. Onions were about 20 cents a pound for a while, so I bought several bags of them, spent a few days dehydrating and packaging them up. We've got some simple garlic powder and some dried cheese that has a pretty long shelf life and can be added to a medium range type emergency storage plan. We're going to use a can of our Keystone beef. We've got some tomato paste, some simple canned mushrooms, red wine, and we're going to use some potato flakes that I canned up in this canning jar last year and vacuum sealed with the food saver. All right, let's start cooking our hillbilly beef bourguignon here. First off, I'm going to put in some tomato paste. We've got our pan heating up here over the coals for a little bit of time, so we should be good to go here. For that, I'm going to add some of our dehydrated onions that I did rehydrate just a little bit so that we wouldn't have dried onion bits and pieces in our dish here. Now we're going to add our beef and mushrooms. Put some red wine in there and we'll let this cook off a bit before we move on to the next step. Some of you are probably screaming right now that you're not supposed to put acidic type ingredients into a cast iron Dutch oven. However, if they're well seasoned, I don't have any problems doing that with mine. Now we'll let that simmer and we'll let the wine reduce down a little bit, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, I lowered the Dutch oven down. There's a slight breeze tonight, so I needed a little bit more heat. Now we're up to a simmer and we're just going to let some of that liquid cook off. Okay, we're starting to dry out here, and this is about where I want it to be. If we get this to the right consistency, it'll hold together a little bit better when the dish is complete. If it's too soupy, then it'll just be a soup sandwich. Okay, now we're going to make our mashed potato topping. We'll just unseal our jar here, and I don't really know exactly how many amounts of potato to water we're going to need here, so we're just going to eyeball it until we get exactly what we need. These boxes of potato flakes are pretty cheap, and they are versatile for all kinds of different things. I think they're really the unsung hero of any good prepper pantry, emergency food storage. You can do a lot of things with them. And when you're thinking about eating in a grid down or SHTF situation, you want to think about hearty meals. I know the trends these days are all kinds of diets that, take out carbs and all that, but this emergency preparedness isn't about a fad diet. It's about storing foods that will fill you up, keep you and your family going when you don't have any other options or things are very limited, at least. Okay, now before we add our potatoes to our dish, the tightwad in me has broke out some of my salt and pepper packets that I save when we're in a restaurant or somewhere where these things are sitting around, or fast food bags, whatever. Keep that stuff. You never know when that might be something that is gold to you. Okay, now we're going to spoon on our mashed potato crust that's going to seal the top of our dish. That was just an estimate what I mixed up here, but I think that's going to work out just about right for what we need. the dog next door agrees with everything that I'm saying. Some of you that were in Boy Scouts will remember a dish similar to this. We used to do the cottage pie with the ground beef and that kind of a thing. This is very similar to that. We're just kind of ramping it up a little bit by using some of our chunk beef. There's no peas in this. It has onions, mushrooms, and red wine, so it's a little bit more of a upscale dish of the same type of thing that we made back then. I'm going to put just a little bit of garlic powder on there. And we'll take our dried cheese and we'll put a little layer on the top here. This will help give that some browning once we put the lid on and start cooking it up. Okay, I went ahead and raised my Dutch oven back up. I don't need as much heat on the bottom now. We're going to place the lid on it and we're just going to pile some coals up on the top here and get some heat going to brown up the top of our potatoes and give us a little bit of a crunchy crust up there and brown the cheese up too. Alright, let's check on our dish here and see how we're doing. I'm going to call that good. Alright, we talked earlier about saving the juice from the canned beef and not wasting anything. So now I'm going to just whip up a simple gravy out of that leftover broth and put a little Worcestershire in there. And I'm just going to use some more of these potato flakes to thicken it. By doing this, we're using up all of our food. If we were in a grid down type situation or an emergency where we were relying on our food stores to survive, you wouldn't want to throw out anything. And now I'm just going to spoon a little bit of this simple beef juice that we've made into a gravy onto our cottage pie, shepherd's pie, beef bourguignon, redneck style, whatever you want to call it. This was completely made out of emergency food stores, and it just shows you what you can do with a simple product like a good quality canned meat. You know, it's my full belief that it's easy to get trapped into the monkey see, monkey do when it comes to preparedness. A lot of times we listen to channels like this one and other sources of information, and we believe that by following 3 easy steps, we're good to go. I would submit to you, however, that it would be a good idea to practice by eating off of your food stores for a weekend or however long you think you and your family will tolerate it. Find out what holes you have or what weaknesses you have in your response plan. I think having proteins and meats and things like we've talked about today added to your emergency food stores are an essential part of that plan. If you like the information that we've provided in today's video, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button down below. Those things help us out with the channel. And as always, remember, get ready so that you and your family can succeed and thrive. And by to the end of the video where I take this can of beef and we cook up a delicious meal right out of the pepper pantry. Pepper pantry. Jeez. You know, it's easy to get.